Gemini, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for late May 2026. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as always and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we can dip our toes in the energy and see what's happening for the lovely Gemini collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide, spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these beautiful Geminis in Gemini season, might I add? What energies, messages, insights can we take a little peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. At the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot just to see what might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Gemini in late May. What's the vibe? What's the energy? Let's get this card out nice and quick. And while I get this card out, I would just like to wish you all a very happy birthday from me to you. Hopefully you have a great one, whether it's already passed, whether it's still coming up. I really hope you enjoy yourself, my friends. Okay, cool. So we're starting with a pretty smooth card that I usually like. And yes, it's an oracle deck. It's not a classic tarot, but this reminds me of the Queen of Cups pretty hardcore when I see her. She has like all the same symbolism as the Queen of Cups. So that's usually pretty good. I think it's very positive energy. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the May subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, back into the reading. Let's talk more in depth about this card. So as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. We have this lovely lady sitting on what seems to be a seashell throne, right? She has her little foot dipped into the koi pond, little koi fish swimming around. So to me, it just screams Queen of Cups. Now, for some of you, maybe you have water sign placements. Maybe you're connected to a water sign. That could simply be it. Remember, it's not gender specific. But the thing with the Queen of Cups, as with all cups court cards, they represent the realm of emotion, things that we're emotionally invested in. And queens represent the internal aspect of the suit. So usually her is a double down of emotion. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. This is great for imagination and creativity and thinking outside of the box. All of those things are highly favored with this energy here in the front. It could also sometimes be a very sentimental, touching type of energy. So maybe you're a little more emotionally fragile than you usually are. Or maybe you're just feeling very sentimental around your birthday season. All of that can be in play with her. The only downside I always say when it comes to the Queen of Cups is she can represent emotional suppression, where it's like, I'm just going to push that down, 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 down. And eventually at some point that energy does come back up. So just keep that in mind. Like, watch out for suppression too much, and maybe you might want to find channels to put that into. It's just very emotional. So we're going to let her chill right there. Very loving, caring, and nurturing. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for the beautiful Geminis. What do we have in late May? Let's get a good shuffle here. And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. So it was titled A Surprising Return. And to me, it felt like a whole variety, a whole slew of different things could loop back in this time. So even if it hasn't happened yet, the door could still be open because the energy could bleed over for a couple weeks. So again, whether it's situations, whether it's things that you've seen similar things before, whether it's individuals, to me, it felt like certain things could pop back up in this time. So that could be good or bad, right? But let's see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards here for the Geminis, please. What's going on in late May for my friends? Cool. All right. That's usually a pretty good card for you. I mean, we have the Page of Swords in position number 1. You get him tucked in right by this amethyst. He could chill out for a minute. Let's get a couple more for Gemini. Page of Cups, very peoply, very, very peoply. Okay, very similar to the Queen of Cups, but just not as intense. Let's get one more here. Let's see, we have very chatty, very, very chatty. Okay, cool. All right, so we do have a bonus this week, but your third card is the beautiful 4 of Wands, the 1111 card. I like it. We have a nice elemental mixture going on, and then your bonus is the Fool card, chilling right here. So similar to what I've been seeing in the fire sign readings, I am optimistic about what I'm seeing because most of these cards do lean that way. But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes, then we'll get into that juicy, intuitive stuff. But at first glance, you know me, love to look at the elements. I feel like it frames the reading and tells us how comfortable it might be and how energy could flow. And there's a pretty good mixture of stuff here. We have 3 of the 4 elements present. present, we have air, water, and fire right here on the back end. With Out of those ones, the air and the fire are very compatible energies for Gemini. Now, when it comes to air, that's your power element, that's your comfort zone, that's the realm of logic. It's very pragmatic, strategic, it's very planned out. It does deal with information, whether it's giving or receiving information. You might have an extra mental thirst when there's a lot of air energy showing up. I usually like it. It's very chatty. It is the element of communication after all. The only downside to air is that sometimes it could be a little too much in its mind. It could overthink a little bit. Sometimes it could also be cold and detached. And now moving to the middle, we have the water, very similar to the Queen of Cups. Remember, it's things that we're emotionally invested in, things, people, situations that we care for, that touch our heart. It is that very sentimental energy. It could deal with creativity as well. So remember the imagination, the thinking outside of the box, the artistic disciplines, writing, music, you name it. It's very good for that. But again, personal relationships are a big thing with water as well. The only downside to it could be very overwhelming. It could be an energy that overwhelms us. So we need to watch out for that. Then here on the back end, we have fire, which works very, very well with Gemini. Fire is the realm of action, right? So whether it's the actions you take, the actions other people take, the actions that you want to take. I also think of energy levels. Usually fire is very high on the energy levels. So health, vitality, all of that can be in play when it comes to fire. The only downside to fire is that it could be explosive and volatile, especially since there's air in the spread as well. So let's go through and start building this out piece by piece. Position number one, we have the Page of Swords. Now, again, aside from this being your power element, this is also one of your power cards. It could represent Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And I like pages, so there's going to be a lot in common between these two here in the front. Now, this doesn't have to be you. It could be another individual, of course. Usually pages represent younger, newer type of energy. So whether it's children, whether it's age difference things, all of that could be in play. But pages to me, they represent new, but they're also students and messengers. So this one is like, there is something I need to know. There's information I must have. That's a big thing with this Page of Swords, where it's like, I have to know. I have to figure it out. So the mental thirst is absolutely there when this page is in the mix. As far as communication goes, this one is still a messenger, but it's a little more defensive. This is an energy that has its guard up a little bit, being a little cautious. Now, the Page of Swords is also called the Watcher of the tarot deck, right? So again, whether there's a situation that spirit wants you to keep an eye on, maybe someone's keeping an eye on you, all of that can be in play whenever the Page of Swords shows up in a spread. So we're going to tuck them in right there. The only downside with the Page of Swords is that it could be a little too defensive. Sometimes this energy could be very sensitive, right? Where like there could be miscommunication. So watch out for that. Now, moving to the middle, very similar cloth that this card is cut from. We have the Page of Cups, so water sign energy once again, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. We have a lot of the zodiac showing up here already. So it does feel very peoply. I'm not sure if this is like group get-togethers, social, like I don't know, there's a lot of people. So again, we have your energy here, but there's others showing up in this spread. Now the Page of Cups, again, student, messenger, new, fresh, it's great. They could be offers, opportunities, conversations. The difference with the Page of Cups from this Page of Swords, though, this one is much more open. This one does tie heavily into getting something off your chest, venting, having someone to talk to. Um, it's a bashful energy, right? Like it's not as standoffish and defensive as the Page of Swords. This one could just be a little bit shy, where it's like, should I say it? Should I not? So I don't know what all this chit chat is here in the front end. And that's the real downside with the Page of Cups is sometimes there's something that it wants to say, but it decides not to, or it feels like it can't. Now, moving to the back end, we have actually what I view or deem as a very, very positive card. We have the Four Wands, right? The good old 1111 card. A lot of times this will show up when you're experiencing a lot of signs, synchronicities, omens from spirit. So again, keep your eye out for stuff like that because spirit could either be trying to warn you or guide you. All of that could be in play when this card is here. But if we take that message to the side, this is a very celebratory, solid, stable type of card. It could represent home and living situations. So if you've got a move planned or you're thinking about it, Four Wands could absolutely represent that. But it's people getting together and celebrating. That's like the biggest thing. Now, the only downside to the Four Wands, even though it is from an action element, sometimes it could be a little too set in its ways, right? All fours in tarot are a very firm, solid energy. So sometimes it could represent feeling stuck. So we're going to have to look into that. Now, here on the back end for your bonus, you have the Fool card. Absolutely love it. The Fool is the first of the major arcana, the protagonist of the tarot deck. It's, again, fresh, new. It's a very optimistic energy where it's like, hey, I'm moving towards the future in a very positive way. It's for new journeys, new adventures, new cycles. We really like the Fool card. There's an optimism that I love. The only downside to the Fool, and again, this is Aries energy. When I look at the Fool, sometimes it could act before it thinks. This could be a very risky type of energy. It could be very impulsive as well. That's the only downside to this card. So that's just something to be aware of because, again, it's just another little footnote. But I want to dive deeper on all this, Gemini. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. All right, let's get a good shuffle here. What do we got for our Gemini friends, please? And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot because, as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation. I'm just giving you mine. What's going on that Page of Swords? And yeah, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to give to Gemini, you could drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, why is that Page of Swords here for Gemini this week? What is happening? But why? Why so cautious? So this is really intriguing to me because on the back end we have a very risky energy, but up front we have an extremely cautious energy. So we have the Nine of Wands in the upright, where it's like there's either something, someone, a situation that I'm either protecting myself from or I'm very skeptical about it. So just watch out for that. Again, I'm not saying someone's skeptical about you, but the Nine of Wands is playing it safe. So again, for some Geminis, there might be a certain situation or something that you're dealing with or someone that you're dealing with where Spirit is just like, be cautious, plan ahead, just be, not that you don't have to do something, but just keep your wits about you. That's the big thing. Slow and steady, if that makes sense. Now, worst case scenario, the Nine of Wands could sometimes put up a roadblock. Sometimes this energy can reject something. Now, does that mean that you're going to get rejected? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. There could be a thought process that you're rejecting. There could be a person. There could be a situation. There could be a habit. So, like when I see the Four of Swords the Page of Swords with the Nine of Wands, it's like, okay, nope, I'm building a wall, nope. So there could be certain things where it's like, I'll let that in, but I'm not letting this in, or absolutely something that Spirit wants you to just play carefully with it or just be cautious about it. Like that's just how this feels to me. So we're going to keep going. You ever have a conversation with somebody where it feels like you're like trying to pry it out of them with a crowbar? That's what this could be too, where it's like, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to get information from you. Why aren't you telling me the thing? Like, why aren't you sharing with me? It's an energy that's really difficult to get information from as well. So we're just going to keep going. We're going to see what the Page of Cups has. Maybe the energy starts to open up. That's very possible. But now this has me extremely skeptical on the front end. So let's go in on the Page of Cups. See what that has. Quick. Very soothing energy. Okay. No, yeah, everything's fine, right? So we have the Six of Wands in the upright. Cool. So now, usually to me, this is a card of complete and total victory, right? Like this is a card. This could be absolutely exciting news. This could be someone giving you attention. Watch out for love bombing too. I hate saying terms like that. But like when I see this energy just being very cautious, withdrawn, pulled back, then this energy is like pulling all the weight, right? So watch out for any situation like that where it's like I'm pulling all the weight, I'm making all the effort. There's not reciprocity, if that makes sense. Now, the Six of Wands, again, victory. For some of you, this could absolutely be a very good talk or some really good or exciting news. We already have win-based, victory-based type of energy all over the back end of this reading, which is good. But this energy also feels like it's trying to butter someone up, where it's like, I'm giving this person a lot of compliments, right? So watch out for those smooth talkers in this time, right? Page of Cups, Six of Wands. This is an energy that's going to tell you what you want to hear. This is an energy that's going to compliment you and just pour it on thick, if that makes sense. So just watch out for that. I don't necessarily feel like it's a bad thing, but it's like one energy is very, very intense and laying it on thick. The other one is just being very cautious and clammed up, if that makes sense. So we're going to keep going. Best case scenario for some of you, if you've been having difficulties with the person here, maybe the energy does open up and it's like a total switch or a change because these are complete and total opposites. They are. This energy is just like extremely, extremely cautious and risk averse. This one is not. Like this one in the center, it's really pouring it on thick. I'm not going to call it a risk just yet, but I want to see what shows up on the back. Let's go in on the Four of Wands. And could it be a warning? Maybe, but like I'm not getting enough negativity to warrant a warning yet. So what's going on the Four of Wands? I know I've seen something like this for you in recent weeks, like about the smooth talkers, salesman types. So let's go in on the Four of Wands. Let's see what that has for Gemini, please. What do we got for Gemini? Good. This is a warning. This could be a warning, yeah. So we have the Empress in reverse underneath this Four of Wands. Watch out for people that make like big, lofty promises. That's another thing. Yeah, there could be a person, very specific person. Now, again, I just want to say this: the whole reading itself is not thrown out because of this. We have a lot of great stuff. There's good energy that could be coming in your birthday season, but there's absolutely a person that spirit wants you to be aware of in this time. And I don't mean that to make you nervous or get you anxious, but when I see the Four of Wands with the Empress in reverse, to me, this is someone that might like say a lot of things to appease you, or just try to tell you things that you might want to hear, or it's someone that might promise you the world. It's like one of those types of energies, but it's like, all right, this person makes big promises or they say a lot of things. Where's the action to back it up? So I think that's something really important in this time. Just watch and see the correlation between what people say and what people actually do. And that's a rule of thumb I use when dealing with a lot of people in my personal life. It's like, okay, I'll listen to what you say, but what you do is very important as well. Now, the Empress, Venus energy, very enjoyable. Goddess, she represents blessings and abundance. So again, there's still great energy here, especially on the back end. Doesn't mean this whole reading is tossed to the side because I see like a little bit of sketchiness, okay? Doesn't mean we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Venus, enjoyable, could be Libra, Taurus energy. But the fact that it's in reverse underneath this Four of Wands, that's like all is not what it seems, or all is not what has been promised. So again, that could be a lot of different ways that this energy is showing up, right? Whether there's a person that's really difficult to deal with and you're trying to be extra nice, or you're being a little cautious and someone's pouring it on really thick. This energy here, it's like, no, there's a difference in what this person says and what they do. So that's something to really watch out for. I think there is a specific person that Spirit wants you to just keep an eye on at the very least. But aside from that, there is still good undertones to energy here. But let's go through and do a quick recap, then we'll get into the shadows. So, a really unique reading for you this week, Gemini, because again, there's a lot of great stuff, but there is stuff I'm very cautious and skeptical about. If we look here in the box, position number one, we have the Page of Swords with the Nine of Wands in the upright. So, boom, right there, right on that strength alone, that spirit saying like, hey, just be cautious with what this person says, what you say to a person as well. That's another thing, like be careful with the communication. This energy is extremely skeptical, and it could be building a wall and rejecting things, or this is someone that's just really difficult to talk to. Moving into the center, we have the Page of Cups with the Six of Wands in the upright, someone pulling all the weight, where it's like this one's building a wall, this one's pouring it on real thick. So there's like a difference in the scale of this. This energy is just trying really hard. It feels like a lot of compliments, and it feels like a lot of nice words and stuff like that. And I like that. It could be exciting news for some of you and a win, absolutely. But skepticism is the name of the game, right? You need to see if the words and the actions line up, because even when we move back in by the Four of Wands, the Omen card, which is very positive, we have the Empress in reverse, where it's like, okay, you promised this but delivered this, or you said you were going to do this but you did that. There's like a difference between what someone's saying and what they're doing. So there could be a person spirit wants you to be aware of, especially if they line up with that. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. Okay, let's get a good shuffle here for Gemini. What's happening? And yeah, I always like to pull a shadow card at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge. They could be a good thing too. So let's get you one. Oh, and yes, if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel. I have much love for all my channel members. All right, let's get this shadow card out here for my beautiful Geminis. Okay, cool. The Seeker, aka the Fool, right? So we add it as a bonus, and now it shows up in this deck. Now I know the imagery does look quite different, like the person doesn't have a head. Big Aries energy, impulsive energy, especially when we look at the shadow side of it. So again, I still think there's cause for caution and skepticism, but when this card shows up in the shadows, it's like think before acting. Don't act and then think later. So again, watch out for the impulses, watch out for the risky behaviors and stuff like that, because that's what the Fool could do, especially in the shadows. Um, it doesn't feel like you need to think the worst of someone or like be pessimistic about a situation. I'm not saying that, This is usually optimistic, but there's a difference between being optimistic and realistic as well. Okay, so keep that in mind with this Fool card, and just watch out for the urges. So we're going to put the Fool down right there, my friends. That's what I have for you this week. Don't click away just yet. I'm going to give you the details of the May subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight on your situation, or you'd like to have a chat with me, you can book a personal session at my website, mastermetaphysics.com. My May calendar is up and the spots go quick, so you might want to check it out. But for the May subscriber surprise, we're doing another winner's choice. I will choose 3 lucky subscribers to win either a copy of the Tarot of the Owls, beautiful deck, and it's really nice, or 3 custom-made pendants from my website, mastermetaphysics.com. So if you'd like to get your name in for that, it's 2 simple things, as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed, and second, let me know down in the comments, out of the cards that showed up in this week's reading, which one caught your attention most or resonated with you most. You'll be entered to win, and at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in the Posts tab. My friends, much love, and I'll talk to you soon.